I did that a long time ago.
What are you doing here? I thought you were seeing Pierce.
Yeah, I was. I just left. Oh, what are you doing?
Just having a look at some of this great talent I keep hearing about.
But you don't like my painting.
Not much. This is the best of them, in my opinion.
You can have it if you like.
I didn't say I wanted it.
Well, I just thought that... All right.
I used to paint myself when I was younger.
Did you? It's a great feeling, isn't it? Nothing makes me feel quite so happy. For a while, nothing else seems to exist but the painting you're working on.
Yes.
I'll probably paint over most of those.
Will you paint over this?
Yeah, might as well. Say, buy a new canvas. I'm working on a different style altogether now.
It'd be a shame.
If you like it, take it. There's no skin off my nose.
Well, I do like the colours.
Then, for heaven's sake, take it. If you want to get it framed, David Austin will do it for you. There you go. There's his address.
Thank you.
Not a bloody thing.
Well, don't worry, Lizzie. I said that we would share ours with you.
Yeah, but I should have had my own stuff.
What I'd like to know is how they got onto it.
I think that's pretty obvious.
What do you mean?
Come on, how much evidence do you need?
Kerry?
Of course. Look at all the special treatment she's getting. First of all, that big cell all to herself. And a lot less work than we've got to do. And 2 visits in the one day. You know what Vera's usually like about that. Then what about the 2 of them this morning? A bit too friendly, I thought.
Yeah, well, Vera did whisper something to her.
Then Kerry must be lagging.
Well, then we'll have to do something about it.
What?
Well, the only thing she seems to care about is her precious bloody painting. Maybe we'll have to put a spoke in that particular wheel.
Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. What the hell's that got to do with anything? Well, we don't know for sure she was lagging, now do we?
Oh, now, come off it, Lizzie. How else would she get all that special treatment?
Well, it was Sharon who put the idea into your heads, and you all know what a little spiteful little devil she is, don't you?
Well, you must admit it does look a bit suspicious. She just walks in here and gets all those special privileges straight off.
Yeah, privileges that we had to fight years to get.
Who had to fight?
Oh, well, you know what I mean. But she's an artist. She's different.
She's no different from the rest of us. She's a crim.
Well, if Mona Lisa was put in that can, they'd treat her different. Look, would you listen to you? You're the one who missed out on the buy-up because of her. Yeah. Maybe he wants to test us. Maybe he wants us to turn the other cheek and forgive her trespassing.
Well, I'll tell you this much. If I do find out she's lagging, I'll fix her strictly according to the Bible. I'll crucify her.
Amen.
How's the cook trying to poison us tonight?
I'm working on some ideas for the drama group. I reckon we should work on some more improvisation sessions. Ken says we should stretch our imaginations and build our creative energies.
Yeah, well, I could play a nun and Dor could be the virgin who comes to join us. Yeah.
I said stretch our imaginations, not typically impossible.
Well, Birdsworth, I didn't think you'd be so happy after this morning. It was a pretty pathetic attempt. How's the painting coming along, Vincent?
Not so good. I'm running out of acrylics. I used a lot in the garden the other day.
I'll see what I can do.
Thanks. Well, isn't that nice? I thought they were going to kiss each other.
Come in.
Oh, there seems to be a slight problem with the roster system.
Oh?
Yes, Mrs. Owens was rostered on for tonight's shift and she's off sick.
Oh, yes. Who else is available?
Well, that's the problem. We've all been so flat out lately, and what with Jim away, it's put quite a strain on the system.
Yes, I can't wait for the relieving officer to arrive tomorrow morning.
Look, I suppose I could do tonight's shift.
No, Meg, you've done quite enough overtime lately. You must be exhausted.
Well, I am a little tired, but what else can one do?
Well, I'll have to do it.
You? Well, you can't. I mean, you're the governor, and
I will
besides...
never ask a member of my staff to do something I'm not prepared to do myself. Besides, it should be fairly quiet. Probably do me the world of good.
Well, if you're sure.
Perfectly. Now, off you go and get a good night's rest.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Ready?
Now, bugger, look what you made me do. Oh, why don't you ever knock?
Well, I thought it might have been the butler's night off. Finnegan's gone home.
How would I know?
Oh, the way you two were getting on so well together, I thought maybe she'd dropped in for the day's report before she left.
What are you getting at?
I thought that would have been obvious. The only time Vera's ever treated one of us halfway human is when she's been cultivating a spy. And with all these privileges...
A lagger. Is that what you think I am, a lagger?
Well, it does look a bit suspicious, doesn't it? Maybe that's the real reason you were sent here. What happened? They get onto you at Barnhurst.
No, you just listen to me. I've been on the inside long enough to know about laggers and what happens to them. So why don't you just trundle off to your amateur theatricals and let me get on with my work?
You want to watch it, Vincent? I'm going to be keeping an eye on you.
Oh, come on, girls. You're supposed to be the partners of a machine. Some of you look as though you've run out of petrol. Oh, Lil, will you take your elbow out of Mouse's face? Hey, what are you doing to my exhaust?
Oh, thanks, love. I just had to have a few words with our budding artist.
How'd you get on?
Oh, I think she got the message. Ah, come on, you lot. Give a bit of life into it. I reckon you need a few screws to hold you together.
Good evening, ladies. Time to turn in. As you probably know, we're rather short-staffed at the moment, so I'm taking the night shift this evening.
Oh, short-staffed, eh? Maybe tonight's the night for the big break out there.
We're not that short-staffed, Smith.
Oh. Drat.
Mrs. Davidson's not a bad old stick. Fancy working all day and then doing the night shift.
Now, someone's got to do it.
Yeah, you wouldn't find too many governors who would do it, though.
Oh, look, we'll have tea and toast for 3 about 9 a.m., thanks.
I'll send the steward.
Yes, please.
Good night.
Good night,
Mrs.
Mrs. Davidson.
You look as if you were out on the tiles last night.
Thanks, that's all I needed. Well, I'm glad that relieving officer's starting today. That'll take the strain off things a bit. Is he all right, Jet?
No, not yet.
Well, I hope to hell he's not too green. He's probably a pimply-faced youth who... Oh, good morning.
Morning.
You must be,
Relieving Officer Jock Stewart.
Are we glad to see you? I'm Officer Meg Jackson, and this is Wendy.
Is Mrs. Davidson in?
Oh, yes, of course. Is she in her office, Wendy?
In the staff room.
Oh, well, I'll take you along and introduce you. Have you worked in women's prisons before?
As a matter of fact, no, I haven't.
Oh. Oh, just sign on, please.
Mm-hmm.
This way.
Hey.
Mrs. Davidson, this is Jock Stewart.
How do you do, Mr. Stewart? If you could have come a day earlier, you'd have found me a lot brighter than you do at the moment.
How do you do, Miss Davidson? I hear you were on the night shift last night. That's a bit unusual, isn't it?
Yes, it is, but we're a bit short-staffed at the moment, and there was no alternative. Mrs. Jackson, I'll leave you to show Mr. Stewart the ropes.
Yes, of course.
I'm going home for a couple of hours to get some sleep, and then I'll come back and catch up with my own work. It's nice to have you with us for a while, Mr. Stewart.
Thank you, Miss Davidson.
We'll have a longer chat when I'm a little bit more awake.
She seems quite a live wire.
Oh, she certainly pulls her weight. Well, ready to start?
I sure am.
Are you feeling all right, Mrs. Williams?
Oh, yes, thank you. They gave me a tranquilizer before I left. It does seem to be helping.
Mr. Baldwin, I'm worried about the bad publicity. Surely the judge will be affected by it.
Don't worry, darling.
Mrs. Simpson, I've had a lot of dealings with the presiding judge. I know him well. He takes a great deal of pride in the fact that he never allows the scandal-mongering of the media to affect his judgment.
You see, darling? Now, Mr. Baldwin should know it's part of his job.
Hello, Charlie.
Stefan.
How's the trout been treating you lately?
Oh, I've been fattening them up for you.
If you're ready, we can go in now.
Ladies?
Well, darling, is this the beginning or the end?
Listen, babe. The women in D Block are thinking about making another batch of sly grog. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, I suppose so. As long as they don't get caught or turn up to my drama group pissed and wreck it, otherwise I'll have them.
Right, I'll tell them.
Hey, listen, Mouse, what are they going to make?
Don't know. I think Wendy Collins's old recipe.
Oh, God, they'll poison themselves. Listen, you better ask Lizzie for a recipe.
Right, thanks.
Psst, don't psst in my ear. What do you want?
The women in D Block are going to make up some home brew, and I was wondering if you'd give them one of your recipes.
Grog? Booze?
Shut up. Keep it down.
Are you off your rocker? Do you know what that does to the fathers of little children?
We haven't got any fathers in here.
It's poisonous. It shrivels your brain, it rots your guts, it burns your throat, warms your stomach, and it makes you feel like... No! Get you behind me, Satan.
Oh, forget about it. I'm sorry I asked.
Mouse! In my heart, I cannot take part in your poisonous project, but as a personal favour, I'll just taste a little bit to see if it's all right.
All right, thanks.
Ladies, I want to introduce you to our new relieving officer, Mr. Stewart.
And what's your specialty, Mr. Stewart? Whips, thumbnails, or leather boots?
Don't get smart, lassie, and there'll be no hassles.
Oh, hi, Jock. Get right away.
That's enough, Gilmour. Right, you ready for the rest of the tour?
Yeah.
Shaving a Scotch pig.
Oh, he's only temporary. Long as he behaves himself. We'll let him stay a wee while.
Therefore, Your Honour, as is usual under these circumstances, and with the bench's approval, I would like to submit to this court a summary of the evidence against the accused.
The bench so approves, Mr. Barnes.
Thank you, Your Honour. When the police were called in to investigate the killing, they discovered the body of the deceased on the living room floor with a bread knife in his back. When the accused were questioned as to the manner in which Mr. Williams met his death, they informed Detective Sergeant Allen that two male intruders had broken into the house, that the deceased had disturbed them, and they had killed him. However, subsequent investigation showed that there were no fingerprints on the knife handle, nor were there any smudges of prints that could indicate the use of gloves by the killers. In fact, it appeared that the knife handle had been wiped clean of prints after the killing. On further questioning, the accused broke down and admitted that they had lied and in fact that it was Mrs. Simpson who had killed her father. She claimed that she'd found him cruelly attacking her mother and threatening to kill her with a loaded rifle. The accused were then informed of their rights and subsequently charged with murder. I now call the arresting officer, Detective Sergeant Allen, to the stand.
Morning, Vincent.
Good morning. Look, do you want me for something?
No, I was just doing my rounds, and so I thought I'd drop in and see how the painting was coming on.
Oh.
Don't let me interrupt you. It's incredible how you've run those colours together. When you look closely, it looks like fine detail.
Thanks. Just can't concentrate this morning.
Oh, I suppose you get days like that.
No, not usually. I'm fairly disciplined in my work. It's just that... Well, I can't work when I'm being watched.
Oh.
Oh, look, Miss Bennett, I'm sorry, but I can't work while you're here. I've got work to do before the exhibition, and if I keep getting interruptions, I'll never get it finished.
I see. Don't forget, Vincent, you've been allowed special privileges to go on painting, and that's just what they are, privileges, and they don't include being rude to officers. Just remember, you're still a prisoner.
Neither of the accused has any previous record of violence, or indeed any crime. And they were extreme circumstances indeed that finally brought about this catastrophe. We have the sworn evidence of the witnesses from the preliminary hearing who actually saw Mrs. Williams' battered face and blackened eye, the result of a brutal attack on a night prior to the slaying. Your Honor, you see before you two frightened women who could not stand the shame and the suffering of their situation any longer, and in self-defense were driven to commit this crime of which they now stand accused. I would also take this opportunity, Your Honor, to appeal to the bench strongly not to be influenced by the recent evil scandal-mongering from certain quarters of the press in attempting to cast further shadows on Mrs. Simpson's already damaged reputation.
Mr. Baldwin, I'm sure you're aware of my reputation in never allowing scurrilous press releases to interfere with my summing up of any case.
Thank you, Your Honor. No offense intended.
Oh, well, B, I don't know about all this fly grog business in D Block. If the screws find out, we're all going to be in trouble.
Keep your voice down, Doreen. Our famous artist is at the next table, and I can see her ears twitching from here.
That's what I mean, don't you see? With a lagger in the place, it's going to be twice as dangerous.
She who lives by the sword shall die by the sword.
Oh, what?
Hannah, she's coming over.
I thought you might like this.
Oh, thanks. Got the chin all wrong, but it's not bad, I suppose.
B, I'm not a lagger. I never have been, and I never will be. It is just not my style.
Gee, it's good.
Now she's trying to suck up to you, giving you a sketch that makes you look 10 years younger.
Why don't you rack off, Gilmour, and go and stir somewhere else?
This is Carrie Vincent's cell.
And what's with all this paint and stuff?
Well, she's one of our few minor celebrities.
What do you mean?
Well, apparently she has the makings of a very gifted artist. She's given special privileges to allow her to develop her talent.
I see. I'm afraid I don't go much in this rehabilitation stuff.
Oh? Why not?
Well, Miss Jackson, I've been working in and around prisons for quite a few years now. I usually find that most inmates are much the same.
Should get on well with Vera Bennett.
What have I done now?
Nothing, Vincent. Why? Have you got a guilty conscience? This is Officer Jock Stewart. He'll be relieving for a while.
Would it be possible for me to see Mrs. Davidson? She was going to see about getting a special lamp for my cell.
Oh, well, I'll ask her for you.
Yeah, well, I'd rather do it myself if you don't mind. It is fairly urgent.
Well, I don't know whether she's in her office at the moment, but if you come with me, we'll see.
Hey, Betty, the women in D section have just about finished making up their own brew. Smells great.
Oh, God, I hope not. If the screws get wind of it, there will be a stink.
Well, I think it's disgusting, all that evil booze lying around waiting for some unfortunate to fall under its affluence.
Influence.
Wonder where they stashed it. Somewhere obvious, I'll bet.
Oh, no. It's in the old storeroom in D section.
Will you two shut up? Can't you see where you are? You want the lag to earn herself a few more privileges?
Mrs. Jackson tells me you're rather anxious about your lamp.
Yes, that's right, Mrs. Davidson. It's rather urgent. You see, the light in my
Given
cell...
permission to David Austin to bring one in. As far as I know, he should be arriving with it this afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Come along.
Davidson in?
Yes, but I don't know whether she wants to be disturbed.
I don't think she'll mind when she finds out what I've got to report. You see, I've just discovered something about a certain storeroom in D block.
In view of the evidence presented, I am inclined to give you the benefit of the doubt as to the extreme pressures brought to bear by the deceased before his death. The fact that you pleaded guilty to manslaughter also stands in your favor. However, the taking of a life is a serious consideration. Vivian Ann Williams, under the circumstance, I am prepared to release you on a bond that you be of good behavior for a period of 3 years. Caroline Margaret Simpson, I am also prepared to release you on a bond to be of good behavior for a period of 5 years.
Found the sly grog set up in D block.
Oh, what happened?
I don't know. It's all so sudden. 1 minute the women were brewing up and stacking it away, and the next thing the place was crawling with screws. Caught 'em red-handed.
There you are, you see. I warned 'em. Beware of the dangers of alcohol. I knew it'd catch up with them. But I thought that storeroom was never used. How did the screws get onto them?
Well, how do you think? Kerry bloody Vincent, of course. I warned you two this afternoon. There you were, standing outside her cell, blabbing your heads off. And last night in the dining room, Doreen was yapping her head off with that bitch only a few feet away from her.
Well, B, do you reckon you got enough proof now?
Hello, Meg.
Hi.
How's the new boy going?
Oh, he seems nice enough. Well, he was the one that found out about those goings-on in D block. What, did you hear about that?
No.
Oh, well, apparently Mouse and her gang were brewing up some grog, and he overheard them talking about it in the corridor.
Oh, very clever of the boy.
Oh, I'm glad he got onto it so early. I shudder to think how I would have dealt with him if I'd had to after a night on the booze.
How long's he with us?
Oh, I don't know. I suppose it depends on Jim. Did you know that he and Jim worked together at Pentridge?
Oh, did they just? Well, I hope Fletcher doesn't try and convince Mrs. Davidson that we could use him here on a permanent basis. There are too many men around here already, if you want my opinion.
Come off it, Vera. There are only 2 of them.
Well, there's no place for men in a women's prison. First of all, they're too soft. And secondly, there's always the risk that they could get involved with one of the inmates.
That's ridiculous. They're paid to do a job, and if they don't do it properly, they get fired like anyone else.
Personally, I think it's a good idea to have another man on the staff.
Well, I don't think you're in a position to judge. There's a lot more goes on around here that you don't know about.
Come in. Would you like a drink?
Oh, no, I won't, thanks.
You don't mind if I...
No. I'll only stay a minute. Mum's outside in the taxi. I just wanted to let you know that we got off. Suspended sentences. So at least you'll be able to get your bail money back.
I was never worried about that.
I'll be staying with Michael's sister until we can sort things out. I'll see you at Michael's trial, of course, but if there's anything I can do in the meantime.
Carolyn, there's something I want to say to you, but I don't really know how.
You don't have to explain.
Yeah, but I want to try. If I try to be logical about all this, I just get confused, so I'm going to have to rely on gut feelings, instinct. I know I want... Well, it's as if my life's like a jigsaw puzzle that's been smashed to pieces. I just don't know whether I'll ever be able to get it back together again. I'm sorry, my mind's all over the place.
No, go on.
Well, when something like this happens to you, you lose your confidence. It's as if you don't know what's right or what's wrong anymore. I mean, if you're just depressed, at least you can discuss it and try to look at things differently, but with this,
This seems like a hopeless piece of advice, but eventually time will help. You've got to believe that. I need some time too, Jim, so we both have to be patient. Good luck.
I've been tired before, but I feel I could sleep forever.
Yes, the overtime does catch up with you eventually.
Good evening, ladies. Seems like I'm just in the nick of time. I dropped in to see Kerry and give her this lamp.
I'm afraid that's not possible, Mr. Austin. The visiting hours are over. If you'd like to leave the lamp here, I'll make sure that she gets it.
I quite understand your position,
It's
Mrs.
not
Davidson, but
my
it's most...
position, Mr. Austin. I was referring to the prison rules.
Yes, quite so, but if you'd let me explain, I've been desperately busy at the gallery all day. I don't want to over-dramatize the situation, but this could be a turning point in Kerry's career. It's most important she gets this present picture finished. I know you've been marvelously supportive to her here, and I appreciate it. But please consider my situation. It's most important that I get to see her.
I could take Mr. Austin through if you like.
Very well, but no longer than 5 minutes. We're very short-staffed at the moment, and it becomes increasingly important that we get our priorities right. I hope Vincent appreciates your devotion to her cause.
When you gonna give it to her, Bea?
Let her sweat for a bit.
I can hear you, Bea. And I am not sweating. It'd take more than you lot to give me a scare. What does hurt is the fact that you think I'm a lagger in the first place. Do you think Barnhurst is any different from here? Jesus, it's not my first bloody week in jail. All right, I get special privileges, and I don't give a stuff if you have it go at me for that. But I am no bloody lagger.
What's going on in here?
Oh, Whitworth's favourite daughter shooting her mouth of about
Shut up,
nothing,
Smith.
as usual.
I'm sick of you lot and your petty squabbling. This place is becoming more like a hen house every day. Vincent, you've got a visitor.
I would like to smash that woman one day.
Just like you're going to smash Vincent, I suppose.
Did I hear right, Gilmour?
You don't usually waste any time, Bea. Vincent has a go at you and you just sit there.
Ah, well, that's because I'm getting smart. You see, I am going to get Vincent, but I'm going to do it without getting caught. However, I can take just so much. If you don't keep your mouth shut, I'm going to smash your face in. Anyone else got any good advice?
Now, I can't stress too highly the importance of tomorrow. Everyone's going to be there. The press, the critics, some very influential people. Now, exhibitions like this can make or break artists. There are going to be other artists represented too, but just relax. Don't be nervous, just be yourself. Your work speaks for itself.
Yeah, I'll try not to be nervous. Thanks, David. Oh, one other thing. What about something to wear?
What do you mean?
Well, I can't wear prison clothes.
Oh, of course not, of course not. Well, I'll do something about it. I'll nip out and get you something very special. I'll knock it off your commission. Now, the masterpiece. Will it be ready?
Yep. I'm just doing the final touches.
Excellent.
Oh, you won't forget about the dress, will you?
No, I won't, I promise.
Thanks.
Look after yourself and work hard.
Yeah.
What the hell do you think you're doing, Vincent?
Oh, you gave me a fright. I'm just finishing this. It's for the exhibition tomorrow.
Don't lie to me, Vincent. That's nothing like the painting you were working on. Where is it? What on earth have you done to this?
I couldn't get it right, so I did my block. Artistic temperament, I suppose.
Artistic madness, I'd call it. Well, you don't get second chances in jail. Turn off that lamp.
Please, Miss Bennett. I'll spend a week in the pound. Anything, just let me work. Can't you understand what this means to me?
She get an extra hour's sleep every time she lags.
You're looking for another stretch in solitary, Smith.
Judith!
Hurry up, Vincent.
I hope she hasn't looked in the mirror, because the beauty sleep definitely hasn't worked.
I've met some gutless bastards in my time, Smith, but you really opened my eyes. How do you feel, huh? Tough. Hero. Look, you're on the wrong track anyway, but it's the bloody spineless way you do things that gets to me. That painting was the best thing I've ever done, and I am...
I know what you're talking about. But I'll tell you one thing. If you don't pull your head in, I'll knock it off. Now, piss off.
Anderson, come with me. Mrs. Davidson wants to see you in her office.
I heard that, Smith. And if I can prove you ruined that painting, you'll regret it, I promise you.
Well, you obviously weren't listening properly, because I don't know what the hell she's talking about. And if I wanted to get her for lagging, I would not be mucking around with bits of canvas.
Nothing would surprise me about you, Smith. Are you still saying you ruined that painting by yourself?
Yeah, I am. Thanks for last night. You're not as hard as everyone says.
Come in. Thank you, Mrs. Jackson. Doreen, I have some good news for you. Angela Jeffries has contacted me to say that your mother's will has finally been processed. You are now the owner of her house and contents, and after probate and legal costs, the cash sum of about $4,000.
Oh, I thought it might have been more than that.
Did you indeed? Angela Jeffries suggested that you might like to make a bit extra by renting the house until you're released from here.
Oh, I suppose so. Though it doesn't seem right, though, does it, Mrs. Davidson? I don't think I'd like strangers, going round my mum's house.
Well, that's up to you. I do understand what you mean. Renting out for a short time can sometimes be more trouble than it's worth. Why don't you think it over and let me know what you think, Doreen?
But $4,000 is more money than I've ever had. I used to think I was doing real good if I had $20 to spare.
Yes, you can do a lot with $4,000 if it's used wisely. Perhaps if Mr. Reed has time, he could advise you the best way to invest it.
Ah, hi, Kerry. All set? Aha, the masterpiece. You've seen it, Miss Bennett?
Yes, I don't know much about it, but I think it's very good.
On the contrary, you seem to know a great deal about it. Knowing what you want is exactly what appreciating art's all about. I can't stand people who can't make up their minds. For a start, it shows a lack of breeding and, shall we say, well, a certain weakness. No, strength of character, I believe, is of great benefit, Miss Bennett.
I couldn't agree more. Self-discipline is what this world needs.
Exactly. Now, come on, Kerry, we've got a terrible hurry. Excuse us, will you?
I'm sorry. It's against regulations for Vincent to go out in prison clothes.
Oh, my God, the dress. I bought it yesterday afternoon. I left it at the gallery. Things have been so hectic in the last day, I say completely slipped my mind. We could sneak her in, you know, and she could change in there.
Vincent has clothes of her own here. I'm afraid you'll just have to wait while she changes.
Wait? Oh, God, we can't possibly wait. I've got all those important people waiting at the gallery. I can't possibly let them down. Look, Miss Bennett, Kerry's been telling me how kind you've been. Could we presume on your good nature just one more time?
Very well. But, Vincent, whatever happens, don't be seen in that uniform. Mr. Austin, sign the day release form, and then she's your responsibility. Vincent, sign out over there.
Thank you very much. You've been extremely kind. Could you do me one more favor? Could you pass these invitations on to Mrs. Davidson for this afternoon? And I do hope you'll be there yourself.
Perhaps. Good luck, Vincent.
Thanks, Miss Bennett.
Thanks again.
Come in. Oh, Vera, did Vincent get off all right?
Yes, Mrs. Davidson. And David Austin gave me these invitations to give you for this afternoon's exhibition.
Oh, thank you. I'm quite looking forward to it. About the business of that ruined painting. Did you find out anything?
It seems quite obvious to me that one of the women did it out of spite, or perhaps jealousy.
Yes, I suppose so. You don't believe her story about having done it herself?
No, of course not.
Well, unless she makes a complaint, there's nothing much we can do about it. By the way, would you care to use one of these invitations?
Oh, no, thank you.
Oh, that's a shame, because I think I will. I'm quite looking forward to seeing how she gets on.
Oh, well, if you're going along, perhaps I will come. It'll be an afternoon out. Might be boring, though.
Yes, well, let's see. The exhibition starts at 3 o'clock. Let's say we leave here about 2:15.
All right, see you then.
Good.
Oh, I can't believe it. The whole exhibition looks so...
Professional? Well, yes, it does. I must admit it, even if I say so myself. This latest picture of yours will create an absolute sensation. Particularly when I tell the fools how good it is.
What?
Oh, sorry, love. To some of these critics, they wouldn't know a bar of soap from a piece of art.
Listen, can I try my dress on now?
Ah, your dress, yes. Well, I meant to talk to you about that.
Talk to me? What do you mean? You haven't bought it yet?
Well, no, not exactly, but...
Not exactly? Bloody hell, David. That was the first condition I was let out of prison. Not to mention you promised to bring it to the jail. I mean, you promised to bring it to me.
All right. I know I promised, but let me explain. Now, the most important thing is that we get you released from jail as quickly as possible, right?
Oh, yeah, I suppose.
Right, now, to achieve that, we have to make sure we have public opinion right behind us. The moves to get you released will happen a lot quicker if we have the press to back us up. Now, to do that, we have to present you in a sympathetic light. Now, how do we do that? Well, we use this exhibition. We take photographs of you in your prison clothes, and we run a story about how your talent is being stifled in jail. It'll work, love. And it'll work quickly.
Look, I don't know. They treat me well in jail. I just don't want to be dishonest.
All right, love, you just think about it. I've got things to do.
Nervous?
Oh, God. Oh, I don't know. I'm beginning to wonder whether the whole idea wasn't a big mistake.
Of course it's not. Look, don't let David get to you. His ideas are okay, but he does have a tendency to go overboard. Look, let's face it, his main concern is what's in it for him. But what's good for him can also be good for you. If this goes well today, you'll be out pretty soon. Then you'll have complete freedom to paint what you want and how you want.
Yeah, but I got that in jail.
Have you? Come here. Listen to me, Carrie. Any artist has to experience life to express it. Now, you may think you're painting okay, but believe me, before you know it, repetition will start coming into your work and all your originality will completely disappear. Life isn't static, honey. It's changing all the time. If you stand still, you'll die.
I hadn't thought of that.
No, I just did.
Listen, it's stick with me, won't you? I mean, I'm so nervous.
Well, I don't know who did it, but she bloody well deserved it. All laggers deserve what they get, I reckon. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, I say.
You know, it's got me tossed. If she is a lagger, why hasn't she lagged on whoever smashed her painting?
She might be scared.
She might be. Where have you been, Gilmour?
I'm not sure that's any of your business. But if you must know, I've been to see Paul Reed to get permission to see Judy.
And who do you think smashed Vincent's painting?
I did. Well, if we waited for you to do something, we'd all be out of here.
You brainless little bastard! We're not sure Vincent is the lagger.
Oh, come on, you said she was yourself.
Well, now I'm not so sure.
Yeah, well, I reckon she deserves to be taught a lesson. She gets favours from the screws, so I don't care either way.
Oh, that's nice. Maybe you don't care either way if I break your stupid neck. Now get out of my sight! Why don't you go over to the hospital and cut off your friend's blood supply?
How are you?
I'm a lot better today, thanks.
Ah, you're looking well.
Well, apart from feeling as though I've been hit in the chest with an axe, I'm doing okay.
Did the nurse say how long you'd been for?
No, she didn't. But that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I wondered if you'd still be able to come and see me now that the operation's over.
Oh, if you'd like me to, of course. I'd be glad to.
It's just that I feel I can talk to you without you judging me, you know? I know you're just doing a job, but I feel that we're friends.
Oh, we are friends.
That's nice. You know, I'd like to know what makes you tick. Well, it's just that you always seem so cheerful and positive. I'm hoping that some of that'll rub off on me.
Just believe in yourself, and it will.
Yes, fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. You know, I can quite see how it expresses her life as a prostitute. What amazes me, I think so, is its simplicity. A bit like nature, I suppose. Unbelievably complex, yet inexplicably simple.
Yes, yes. The only disappointing aspect of her work is that her paintings are so few in number.
Yes.
The oppressive atmosphere of the prison makes it impossible for her to be prolific. The value of these paintings is skyrocketing. A simple case of supply and demand. Could I interest you possibly?
By the way, do you know anything about this sculpture over here?
Ah, yes.
What on earth is Vincent doing in her prison uniform?
Well, I don't know. She was supposed to change.
Vincent, just who do you think you are? By wearing your uniform, you've not only broken the prison rules, but you've also exploited our trust in you.
Actually, Mrs. Davidson, that's my fault. We were so rushed around here. Well, I know this sounds implausible, but I offered Aunt Carey's dress. But to cut a long story short, I burned it.
Did you indeed? Well, I had no choice but to accept your explanation, but I find it hard to believe that something couldn't have been organized.
I'm really very, very sorry, Mrs. Davidson.
Well, let's forget about it. How are things progressing?
Not too bad.
And Mr. Reed said that he'd get someone to tell me what to invest it in. That's terrific, Dor. You could become one of them typhoons.
What about Kevin? You can't string that poor bloke along forever, you know.
Yeah, I know. He's written to me a couple of times, but I never wrote back. You're bloody mad, Dor. Got a bloke who wants to marry you. He's got a good job. You got a few bob and a house to shift into. Half your luck, I say. Yeah, I suppose you're right. But I'll tell you something. If it does work out the way you say, you've got to promise to come and live with us. Get away. You don't want a silly old bugger like me living with you. Oh, of course we do. You know what? We could do up your room just the way you like it, and then we could go shopping.
Excuse me for interrupting you, but I must introduce myself. My name is John Smythe. I can't tell you how much I admire your work.
Thanks, sir. How do you do?
You know, a talent such as yours only comes along once or twice in a lifetime. The thing that amazes me, though, is the way you manage to express yourself working in those terrible prison conditions.
Oh, I don't know. They treat me very well.
Really?
Yes.
I heard the warders were all animals.
How would you know?
Come here for a second. There's
something I must ask you. My dear fellow, I think that she's the hottest thing since Sidney Nolan. How much better she would be if she was free to work and create in her own time. This oppressive atmosphere of Wentworth. Now, something I have to tell you. This isn't widely known, but a certain prison officer actually coerced Miss Vincent into handing over one of her finest works in exchange for artist materials and the right to paint. This blatant piece of blackmail wouldn't have even come to light apart from an extraordinary coincidence. Of all the people who could have framed the picture, whom did you choose? The one person who could immediately recognize the style of Kitty Vincent and would know exactly where the painting came from. My dear fellow, she came to me.